Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? Big bad wolf, big bad wolf. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf?
Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? We back at it again. It's the king of the norf, it's Moji. I'm chilling here, it's Mojini, baby. I'm doing the Maggy the Frog Profioso, folks. This is how I'm feeling. Gold will be their crowns, and gold will be their shrouds. Oh! I feel so good about this one. I feel so great. Oh man, this is the realness. This is me. This is Moji, man. I'm here for you. I'm here to break it down. And I'm serious, because I feel so good about this one. It just came to me. It was like an epiphany. It's like a mystery. It's a history's mystery I'm here to solve. And I'm feeling this one because it seems so logical. It seems so plausible. I feel like, why didn't I think of this a long time ago? Why didn't other people feel like this is the most logical person to do the deed? To wrap their hands around Cersei's white neck. Now let's break this down. Let me do the prophecy. Let me read it out loud. As a girl, Cersei Lannister sought Maggy after hearing rumors about her magical powers. She was known in the Lannisport Westerlands area as the Magi, or Maggy the Frog. Cersei and her friends Jane Farman and Melara Heatherspoon went to her during the tourney for King Aerys II, his visit to the Westerlands, at which Cersei became enamored over Prince Rhaegaer Targaryen. When they reached a tent deep in the woods, Jane fled the scene at the sight of Maggy's yellow eyes. Maggy initially refused to tell the futures of the remaining two girls, but grudgingly agreed, faced with Cersei's threats. She allowed Cersei 3 questions and made the prophecy of the Valancourt, High Valyrian for little brother, but some say it's gender neutral. When Malaria took her turn, Maggy also predicted for the girl that she would die. Cersei initially asked, "When will I wed the prince?" Maggy said, "Never. You will wed the king." Cersei then replied, "Will I be queen though?" "Aye, queen you shall be, until there comes another, younger and more beautiful, to cast you down and take all that you hold dear." Then Cersei proceeded to ask her more about her future. "Will the king and I have children?" "Aye, 6 and 10 for him, and 3 for you. Gold shall be their crowns, and gold their shrouds. And when your tears have drowned you, the Valancourt shall wrap his hands about your pale white throat and choke the life from you." Cersei then pondered. Afterwards, Malaria asked for her prophecy, since she was there as well. "Will I marry Jaime?" "Not Jaime, nor any other man. Worms will have your maidenhead. Your death is here tonight, little one. Can you smell her breath? She is very close." Now, I hope you liked that reading. This is serioso, folks. This is one of the most sought after and well documented prophecies in a Game of Thrones and a Song of Ice and Fire. This is one of the prophecies that has men scratching their heads and wishing there was an answer. Where, oh where is this Valancourt, and where could he be? Or maybe it's a she. We don't know. But what I'm gonna do is look through a few chapters that I think I fell upon that could possibly shine light on this. George R. R. Martin usually gives you the answer to his questions way before he gives you the question. Now, most of this Valancourt prophecy stuff is given to the reader during a Feast for Crows in the Cersei chapters. But I like to look back at some chapters in A Clash for Kings. I think by looking over these chapters and finding a few passages, I can find the answer I'm looking for. Now, the queen that will take everything that Cersei holds dear, this could be Sansa or Daenerys. These are the obvious conclusions and the obvious answers. It could also be Arya. Who knows? But, in my opinion, I think the queen that will take everything Cersei holds dear and the Valonqar are one and the same. George R. R. Martin is talking about one character that will do everything in this prophecy. Now I'll try to show you how I got to this conclusion. Now, GRRM has said that Cersei will bring about the prophecy on her own by trying to avoid it. Cersei's own behavior has made the Valonqar prophecy seem like an easy thing. It is logical that she will have to be removed from endangering others. Jaime, even though she has spent her life expecting Tyrion to unfairly kill her, it most likely will be him. Let's talk about who can't be the Valonqar first. In my opinion, it can't be Tyrion. He has been set up as the red herring since we were introduced to this prophecy in A Feast for Crows. Other than it being too obvious, Tyrion has no need to kill Cersei. He believes she's dumb enough and foolish enough to get herself killed. He doesn't need to be the one whose hands are wrapped around her throat. As in my opinion, he's too small, and even if he tried, it would be a little too difficult. She may fight him off. She may have guards around her. The only way Tyrion would be able to do something like this is if some sort of one-on-one battle occurred between the two. The reason Jaime is more likely to do it is because they're in intimate settings together all the time. Whenever Tyrion and Cersei are in the room together, there's always many other people. Cersei doesn't even trust Tyrion to be in a room alone with her, for the very few times we've seen it. Okay, let's move into Clegane Bowl now. This is a very likely theory to have Cersei's end be the demise after the two brothers square off. The Hound being the champion of the Sparrows, and the Mountain being Cersei's champion. Now, Cersei was required to have a trial by 7, in which people are assuming that once she goes to the trial, she would ask for a trial by combat and have the Mountain save her. Now, this particular theory is a little difficult for me to imagine, even before the show completely ripped it up and threw that dream away. Why would the Hound want to help the Sparrows? If the elder brother had tamed his harsh nature and made him come to his senses and not be an evil and angry man anymore, what would compel the Hound, aka Sandor Clegane, to magically come out of this and want to fight one last time for a cause that he does not care about? He doesn't care about Cersei. He doesn't even care about killing his brother anymore, as the elder brother states to Brienne in A Feast for Crows. So, this situation just doesn't seem logical to me. It doesn't have the characteristics that you would see in getting Cersei killed. It was an awesome dream. It was an awesome situation. But again, D&D would not have canceled this out if they thought that GRRM was going to include it in a Winds of Winter. If they believed that there was any chance that the Hound would fight, they wouldn't have his story arc going towards joining the Brotherhood Without Banners as it's going in the show right now. I really believe that the Valonqar could possibly be Jaime. Now, I've already stated in the beginning why I thought he is the assumptive person, because it can't be Tyrion. So the obvious little brother is Jaime. They came into the world together, but Cersei is older than Jaime. She came out first. Now, one of the main reasons I also don't think it can be him is Jaime has one hand. The prophecy clearly states that the Valonqar will wrap his hands, plural, around her pale throat. Now, he does have a golden hand, but I don't think that this is what Maggy the Frog meant. Could it be that Jaime becomes Hand of the King and has a chain of hands necklace, and that could refer to the prophecy? Possibly. People forget that Jaime's false hand is in the shape of a cup, so he can hold drinks. It's easy to wrap a throat with that. Now, back to Jaime. The biggest theory and assumption on why Jaime would be the Valonqar is something to do with wildfire and Cersei burning down the city. The same way that Jaime killed the Mad King before he set King's Landing aflame with wildfire, people believe it will be part 2, with Jaime being a queen slayer now and killing his own sister to stop the innocents getting killed in King's Landing. Now, I fully believe in this theory. I fully believe that Jaime and the way his arc has gone from a cruel and egotistical knight to a much more laid back and shameful man. His arc has gone full circle. I believe that after he was captured in the War of the Five Kings and was Catelyn Stark's hostage, and then was released and got his arm cut off by Vargo Hoat, completely changed him. Later in the books, him and Cersei aren't even lovers anymore. They resent each other and have quarrels whenever they talk. Jaime doesn't even respond to her letter when she sends for help when she's captured by the High Sparrow in King's Landing. Now, Jaime would try to do something honorable and save King's Landing again. I could see that in the cards. In the show, it may go down differently because she's already burned down the Sept of Baelor and doesn't look like she's going to burn down King's Landing. But in the books, it's highly speculated that she will burn the whole city down and not just a single place. If Jaime was tasked to kill Cersei, it would have to be because of something serious. It would have to be because somebody he loves may get hurt. Now, all their children are dead at this point. In the books, Tommen isn't dead yet, but he is assumed to be killed in the early chapters of A Winds of Winter. Now, Jaime's arc, like I've stated, has gone full circle. It's a little more pronounced in the books than it is in the show, but killing Cersei is a dastardly deed. Jaime could redeem himself from pushing Bran out the window, from doing many things he's done horribly in his life, by saving innocents and killing Cersei and removing the false queen from her throne. I believe that him and Brienne have a big part to play if he does kill Cersei. And I'll explain this more on the next person I believe could be the Valonqar. Now, one of the last things on Jaime more than likely being the Valonqar that people often forget about is in A Feast for Crows, one of Jaime's last chapters, him and Ilyn Payne have a conversation during one of their nightly sparring battles before they reach the Riverlands. They're talking about the topic of Cersei, and Ilyn Payne, although not able to talk, signals with his hand and thumb across his throat, meaning to kill Cersei. And Jaime thinks to himself, that's a good idea, but Tommen's still alive and he would never kill Cersei while one of their children is still breathing the earth. Now, why would Ilyn Payne say kill her? Is this something he already assumed Jaime was thinking about? Possibly. And it already lets you know that Jaime's been pondering the idea since he resents her so much by this point in A Feast for Crows. Alright, drum roll folks, who I believe the Valonqar is... You probably guessed by now. Brienne the Beauty. Oh man, it just seems right. It just seems logical. It just seems the way it should be. Oh man, what's Mo thinking? Is he tripping? Is he flipping? Is he sipping? Now folks, let me tell you, there's a lot of reasons why I believe it's Brienne. Forget about her connection with Renly, who's the younger brother of King Robert. Forget about the fact that she swore an oath to Lady Catelyn Stark. Listen to me. there's a lot of things that Brienne holds dear. And one of those is Jaime, another younger brother. There's so many things I could go off tinfoilery on that little brothers mean in Valancourt and in Valryian, but this is the thing. Let's first start off with the prophecy again. You shall be queen until a younger, more beautiful, takes everything you hold dear. Now, Cersei doesn't have much to hold dear anymore. All her children are dead, so what does that leave? That leaves Jaime Lannister, the last person she holds dear. Now, in the books they hate each other. In the show it's a little bit more complicated. But this is where I believe everything comes to an end. Brienne, falling in love with Jaime will be the last bit. She will take away the last thing Cersei holds dear. Even if she doesn't love him anymore in the books, it's still a thing for her. This is the last person who she ever truly cared about. Jaime obviously has intentions for Brienne. He feels more honorable around her from the moment they met and were captured by Vargo Hoat in the book and by Locke in the show. They have a history together, and Jaime believes that Brienne makes him a better man, in my opinion. Forget about just being more honorable, because of the vows that Brienne has taken, and the vows and oath that Jaime took with Lady Catelyn Stark that binds them. Obvious choices for the queen that will take everything Cersei holds dear and is more beautiful than her is Dany. It's obvious, and it's the red herring, just like Tyrion is the red herring to be the Valancourt. Dany is more beautiful than Cersei, and she has the strength in her dragons and her army to take everything she holds dear, in my opinion, which would probably be the throne, the Iron Throne. But I believe that Brienne will initially be the person that is the queen and the Valancourt wrapped in one. And I'll explain this with what I found in the chapters from A Feast for Crows and A Clash of Kings. I am absolutely not saying that Brienne will be a queen, but I believe Brienne's inner beauty is what George R. R. Martin is trying to get at in this prophecy. Remember, prophecies are a double-edged sword. They can mean many things to two different people that hear the exact same thing. Now, the other red herring was always Marjorie Tyrell. This young queen was the one Cersei always believed would be the one to bring her downfall. Now, we knew that this was too obvious, just like Tyrion was too obvious. It could not be the prophecy. This isn't something George R. R. Martin would do. Marjorie's not even a major character in the books. She's a minor character, but because of Natalie Dormer's great acting skills, she's been extended on this show. And D&D wouldn't have killed her off so abruptly at the end of last season if she had a part to play. Now, the third choice other than Dany and Marjorie was Sansa. And Sansa was a serious candidate, folks. She was always tormented by the Lannisters and Joffrey. Now in the show, we do know that Jon is already the king of the north in Winterfell, but in the books, Sansa may be queen of the Vale, possibly marrying Harry the heir. This is another way she becomes queen, and Brienne becomes the Lord Commander of her Queen's Guard. Prophecies take many twists and turns. People were always assuming that it would just be another queen that takes over for Cersei. You never thought that it could be another way that the queen prophecy could be foretold. Now Sansa was also another candidate to take everything Cersei holds dear, and it still may come true. With Brienne becoming Sansa's sworn shield, if she sees that Sansa was in danger one day by Cersei, she could end up killing her that way, and the prophecy becomes fulfilled. I love these twists and turns, folks, and that's what prophecies are all about by George Martin. First knowledge drop is going to be Catelyn chapter 39 in the Clash of Kings. Now, in this chapter, there's a lot of details and clues George R. R. Martin leaves for the reader to behold. There's a lot of details and clues about Cersei in this chapter when Lady Catelyn Stark and Brienne are talking. That night, as they made their camp, Brienne sought out her tent. "My lady, you are safely among your own now, a day's ride from your brother's castle. Give me leave to go." Catelyn should not have been surprised. The homely young woman had kept to herself all through their journey, spending most of their time with the horses, brushing out their coats and pulling stones from their shoes. She had helped shade, cook, and clean game as well, and soon proved that she could hunt as well as any man. Any task Catelyn asked to her, Brienne had performed deftly and without complaint, and when she was spoken to, she answered politely, but she never chattered, wept, nor laughed. She had ridden with them every day and slept among them every night, without ever truly becoming one of them. It was the same when she was with Renly, Catelyn thought. At the feast, in the melee, even in Renly's pavilion with her brothers of the Rainbow Guard. There are walls around this one higher than Winterfell's, Catelyn thought. "If you left us, where would you go?" Catelyn asked her. "Back," Brienne said, "to Storm's End." Alone? It was not a question. The broad face was a pool of still water, giving no hint of what might live in the depths below. "Yes," Brienne replied. "You mean to kill Stannis?" Brienne closed her thick, calloused fingers around the hilt of her sword. The sword that had been his. "I swore a vow. 3 times I swore. You heard me." "I did," Catelyn admitted. The girl had kept the rainbow cloak when she discarded the rest of her blood-stained clothing. She knew. Brienne's own things had been left behind during their flight, and she had been forced to clothe herself in odd bits of Sir Wendell's spare garb, since no one else in their party had garments large enough to fit her. Vows should be kept, I agree, but Stannis has a great host around him, and his own guards sworn to keep him safe. I am not afraid of his guards. I am as good as any of them. I should never have fled," Brienne said. "Is that what troubles you? That some fool might call you craven? Renly's death was no fault of yours. You served him valiantly, but when you seek to follow him into the earth, you serve no one." She stretched out a hand to give what comfort a touch could give. "I know how hard it is." Brienne shook off her hand. "No, you don't." "You're wrong," Catelyn said sharply. "Every morning when I wake, I remember that Ned is gone. I have no skill with swords, but that does not mean that I do not dream of riding to King's Landing and wrapping my hands around Cersei Lannister's white throat and squeezing until her face turns black." The beauty raised her eyes, the only part of her that was truly beautiful. "If you dreamed that, why would you seek to hold me back? Is it because of what Stannis said at the parley?" Was it? Catelyn glanced across the camp. 2 men were walking sentry, spears in hand. I was taught that the good men must fight evil in the world, and Renly's death was evil beyond all doubt. Yet I was also taught that the gods make kings, not the swords of men. If Stannis is our rightful, he's not. Robert was never the rightful king either. Even Renly said as much. Jaime Lannister murdered the rightful king after Robert killed his lawful heir on the trident. A good king does care. Lord Renly, his grace, he would have been the best king. "He is gone, Brienne," she said gently as she could. "Stannis and Joffrey remain, and so does my son." "He wouldn't. You'd never make peace with Stannis, would you? Bend the knee? You wouldn't." "I will tell you true, Brienne. I do not know. My son may be king, but I am no queen. Only a mother who would keep her children safe, however she could." This very important chapter, you have George R. R. Martin telling you everything you need to know. He brings up putting a hand against Cersei's white pale throat. He brings up a beauty. He even brings up the word queen. All with Catelyn talking to Brienne. Now this is interesting. Will Brienne kill Cersei one day because of the words that Catelyn told her? As one last sign of oath and honor to Lady Catelyn? Maybe. There's so many reasons and rhymes why Brienne could be the one to kill Cersei and put an end to her reign. I see it happening where Cersei has Jaime Lannister brought in front of the king's justice and will kill him, and Brienne comes to save the day. I see Brienne, on the orders of Sansa, having to kill Cersei be a possibility. I even see Brienne going to King's Landing on duty and honor, having to slay Cersei for something that Lady Catelyn once told her. There's many ways that Brienne the Beauty could fulfill this prophecy. And one last thing. During her time with the elder brother in the Riverlands, it always struck me why George R. R. Martin chose the name Elder Brother for the man in the Quiet Isles. He could have chose anything else, but the man that runs into Brienne was named this, and I thought, elder brother, little brother, it can't be a coincidence. Alright folks, Brienne, always talked about as the beauty, the joke that everyone says to her face, and always behind her back when she was younger. This wasn't a coincidence by George R. R. Martin to give her that nickname, in my opinion. And on top of that, her inner beauty is known. You can see it in the way she shows her affection for Jaime, who she's obviously in love with, and I can see her killing for one day. These things are intricately woven. Alright, so that's the end of my tomfoolery. I hope you enjoyed the tale that I've woven. Please like, please subscribe. It's the King of the North, and I'm out.